Over at Marvel Comics, the publisher is looking to sunset the X-Men's long-running Krakoan era with the FallofX publishing initiative. During that storyline, we saw the anti-mutant group known as Orcus deal a deadly blow against the X-Men during their most recent Hellfire Gala. Today, we're going to go ahead and see how some of the mutants who lost their lives during that fateful battle resurface in the pages of DeadXMen issue 1. My name is Arico Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and explore the brand new mission Xavier has entrusted to these team of X-Men. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button over on this video. Death was only the beginning. When the world turned against Krakoa, these 5 mutants lost their lives. But their mission as X-Men is just getting started. To preserve Xavier's dream, they must accomplish the impossible or die again trying. Spinning out from Rise of the Powers of 10, discover who are the DeadXMen. So DeadXMen issue 1 is written over from Steve Foxe, featuring art from Jonas Scharf, Bernard Chang, and Vincenzo Carratù. In addition, the colors for the issue are illustrated over from Frank Martin. We have letters from VC's Cory Petit and design from Tom Muller and Jay Bowen. In addition, here the cover for the issue is coming in from the excellent Lucas Werneck, who recently contributed just amazing interior art over to Marvel's long-running Immortal X-Men series. And I also want to spotlight some of the fascinating X-Men characters who are resurfacing just on this cover alone. We have Frenzy, Prodigy, Jubilee, Dazzler, and Cannonball over on the page. I want to extend a quick thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste and preview just the excellent artwork coming in from Jonas Scharf that kicked off DeadXMen issue 1. So surprisingly enough, this issue actually has a group of 3 artists spread out across the runtime here. I really found that Jonas Scharf in particular is a really fantastic collaborator with Steve Foxe due to some of the time they already spent together over on Dark X-Men. There's something about the really scratchy and just antagonistic way that Jonas Scharf is able to create this line to just build so much conflict over for our team of mysterious dead X-Men here. I really think this opening page does a fantastic job setting the tone here, showing the aftermath of the treehouse over at Marvel Comics. And I think the way the page is structured is also just really beautiful here. Readers get to check in with the landscape and just the blink scenario over for the situation before meeting up with some of the dead X-Men in the very final panel featured over on the page here. I thought Marvel did a fantastic job illustrating this really twisted version of magic to show up so early within the scope of the issue. Also, Jonas Scharf just illustrates this interpretation of magic with just so much animosity inherent just within the comic book page. I also thought that Steve Foxe paced this issue incredibly well. This is a really long issue of X-Men, so seeing the artistic switches between Jonas Scharf to Bernard Chang was also a really fascinating point within this X-Men chapter. Bernard Chang really paced his first page over on the comic book incredibly well, as we're introduced to the idea and premise behind this Dead X-Men series, as the character of Prodigy just really introduces to the rest of the team as he checks in with the mutant of Ascani about how the X-Men are just wandering through these different timelines in order to catch up with the character of Moira McTaggart. Moira has been just lingering across the X-Men's Krakoan era. It's really fantastic to have a book featuring some of those plot threads and reintroducing Moira back to the board here. I'm just really surprised by some of the plot threads that Steve Foxe was able to pick up across this individual issue. In particular, it felt like there's so many pieces of Sins of Sinister with the Dominion characters, as well as clones of Nathaniel Essex. Plus, within the background of the series, we also have so many fascinating callbacks over to the Sword series, as well as X-Men Red coming in from Marvel Comics. Another great element about this series that we sadly don't have any preview pages for is just the fantastic work coming in from Vincenzo Carratù. I really enjoyed his work alongside Steve Orlando over on Marvel Comics' Astonishing Iceman series, but the interiors late within the pages of DeadXMen 1 are just so beautiful. They're so expressive. I feel like Carratù as an artist just has such a great way to illustrate the anatomy and dynamics between characters across this issue. Before we go here, I also wanted to mention that another element that really had me interested in sticking with DeadXMen through the long haul was how so many characters were interested in the Mysterium element over in this issue. Whether it be Orbis Stellaris or some of the villains that are occupying the X-Men comic book, I think it's just so interesting to see how so many characters are just kind of squandering and battling over this one particular element, even in disparate timelines across the Marvel Universe. So at the end of the day here, I think DeadXMen was just a phenomenal Marvel comic book that really utilized some of the fascinating plot threads spread out across Krakoa and created new storylines with existing pieces of continuity. I want to know from you, what did you think about some of the fantastic work spread out across 3 interior artists over on the issue? Also, what did you think about all these startling X-Men cameos and just the vast roster of characters that popped up across DeadXMen? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on DeadXMen issue 1, and we'll be back to see how Krakoa winds down and wherever this series is headed in the near future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.